Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. You're still watching Rapid Dawn right here on Rapid Television. And of course, Victor Jema just left the studio a few minutes ago after giving you guys sporting updates. We're back here to continue with the conversation. And just like you know, today is Friday, and so it's all about entertainment. My name is Victor. Okay.
My name is Martha Alu. Good morning to you. I hope you've been having a fantastic morning so far. Yes, we've been able to update you on matters surrounding our dear country, Nigeria, and Victor Ojoma did what he did for you guys, for us rather, at 8:30. And we're back in the studio for the big conversation at 9 o'clock. You know, we always on Friday try to wind you down into the weekend, have a fantastic weekend, amazing one like that. And of course, we'll keep up the conversations that will help you do that and be that. We probably might be suggesting a movie that you need to see
Probably.
this weekend. It is all cruise here.
All cruise, all vibes, all enjoyment. And today we have Williams Ameh, the CEO and creative director of Regent Film Studio. Williams is a Nigerian filmmaker from Kogi State who started out studying quantity surveying, but found his true passion in telling stories through film. And in 2021, Williams launched Regent Film Studio, collaborating with creatives across Africa to tell authentic Pan-African stories that celebrate culture, identity, and social impact. Williams, good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Victor.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Martha.
Good to have you join us.
Same here.
How is Dubai? But it seems like you just got back to the country.
Right.
I did GB. This was got back this hot weather. Too bad.
Right.
Well, it's good to have you.
Thank you
know.
very much.
So from quantity surveying to filmmaking, that's a big jump.
Yeah.
You know, was there ever a point where you had to measure a scene instead of actually taping that scene?
Well, actually, the truth is, there are times where I have to take off for those scenes, if you know what I mean.
I get you.
Yeah.
Well, tell us your story. How did you get into it?
Right. Actually, quantity surveying was an alternative for me to storytelling. I've always had the passion of telling stories, you know, being a storyteller, being a filmmaker. But then I grew up in a very consecutive family, or rather conservative family. We attend Deeper Life Bible Church.
Oh.
So if you know the story of Deeper Life at the time, we don't watch film. So
Right.
it is almost impossible for my parents to allow me, you know, venture into any field that has to do with filmmaking, because at the end of the day, I would not be allowed to practice.
Wow.
You know, so I had to, you know, venture into conserving because my friends were architects.
Okay.
Right, so it was easy for them to be architects and me being a quantity surveyor to take off for
Jobs to be connected.
yeah. So I mean, since I'm not studying what I intend to study, let me study what my something similar to what my friends are studying, so that we can be working hand in hand. So yeah, that is why I studied conserving. But at the point where my parents could no longer hold me down, you know, I finished the school. You know, I didn't collect my result up to now. You know, I left the school.
You have done it for them.
Yeah, I've done it for them. I left it, you know, and I went to filmmaking full time.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
How has it been so far?
Well, it has been amazing. It has been a thrill for me because every day I got the opportunity to live my dream, you know, to tell stories, which is the core of my passion.
Right.
So it has been an interesting journey so far.
Okay. Interestingly, you talked about moving from QS to
Yes.
now wanting to do movies full time,
Yes.
which is what you have always wanted. But there's always that gap what people feel, and some people abandon. You know, formal education, we cannot deny the fact that it's also very important, but
Indeed.
your passion is also important. So how were you able to merge the two? How did you speak to yourself? Because I know people who would leave the school and say, this movies I want to do, this film I want to do. So how were you able to balance that?
So you see, at the end of the day, growing up in the 90s, right, you know that most of our African parents gravitate towards careers that are proven to be profitable, like banking, like engineering, all of those things. Yeah, so when you come up to say you want to be something that is not in line with what is profitable according to them, they want to militate against it. However, for me, what I did was, while I was studying, I usually frequent Kaduna, where it is, that is where the studio of my boss is, Toka Magbaro. So so I frequent Kaduna.
Okay. Familiarity there.
Yeah. So I frequent Kaduna a lot. My parents don't even know about it, you know. So I go to Kaduna. I I was a truant in school. I have my friends do my assignment for me, you know, keep handouts for me, give me pointers, you know, to read in the case of tests and exams and everything. But most of the times, I spend my days in Kaduna, in Lagos, you know, going around as production assistant and all of this. So I come back to school, do fire brigade approach with my with my academic, you know, and they say cut one, cut two, join them together. That's how I graduated. But I actually graduated with a good result.
How did you know? You never collected it.
Yeah, I saw it. And so,
what school did you attend?
Federal Polytechnic, Nasarawa. The school that VDM attended.
Why did you have to go and do that similarity together? But anyways, how has film production been for you? Because I know telling a story takes a lot, a whole lot, conceptualizing the idea, and then and from your press release, I did see that you tried to marry your story with a lot of data, the United Nations expectations, and what have you. So what's the process of creating film for you?
Well, beside conceptualizing the story, right, film is very expensive to make at the end of the day. So sometimes you see a lot of creatives have wonderful ideas, but it becomes too expensive, you know, to make at the end of the day. Because sometimes, even if you're able to make a film, are you able to have the return on investment on that film? Anyway, to answer your questions, for me, I see storytelling as a voice through which we can echo our grievances or our truth, as the case may be, you know. So, if you see the films that I make, most of them are gravitated towards impact, because I believe we live in a time in Africa where we cannot afford to use storytelling for the purpose of entertainment only, you know. So, how I conceptualize our story is, you know, looking at the society, what are those grievances, what are those truths that have not been said or that have been underrepresented or not been told in the right way, you know. So it compels me, the voice of this story compels me towards, you know, creating a story to, you know, represent this truth, this reality in a way that people, it can be receptive, you know, in the society. We did a film for Ekimefuna around xenophobia, we did a film, this scars, we did for, you know, Vesico Vaginal Fistula for the awareness campaign. And beyond the filmmaking itself, I see storytelling as a medium through which we can start up a conversation, meaningful conversation that would, you know, provoke the kind of change we want in our society. So in this time where we live, storytelling is the tool through which we can, you know, air out our truth, you know, and of course start conversation that will drive impact. Because sometimes if you want to protest alone, protest will not do the job, you know. If you want to shout, if you want to scream, you know, but when you show people that there's a cause and effect, you show people, tell people this is the cause, this is the effect, they are able to see and understand, you know, all of these distinctions. So again, we hope that through storytelling, we are able to drive those impactful conversations and drive impact in the society.
Now, you mentioned that filmmaking is expensive, basically.
Yes.
I mean, for you, how have you been able to navigate through those expenses?
Right. First thing first is how people believe in your dream, you know, besides you having that dream again. But the first investor that you attract to your movies is yourself. Sure. You know, you have to be willing to invest, not just intellectually, even your resources, your time, you know, at the end of the day. And people don't invest in what do not have track record. People invest in what they are able to see. If you are able to invest in your own film, maybe intellectually, with your time, with your own resources, and you're able to show that, hey, I've been able to do this much on my own, can you help me? Or can you invest in this dream? What they're investing is not because they like you. They're investing in what you're able to show them and say, see what I'm able to do and see where I want to go. Because you're able to show them what you're able to do. They are able to see clearly where you intend to go. So it's easier to attract investors, collaborators, you know, on your project. So basically that's what I do. Most of my project is not about getting people funded 100%. It's getting people collaborate with me. You know, I'm able to put the human resources together. You know, you bring the funding maybe for actors, for equipment and stuff. So basically, it's more of a collaborative job than just getting an independent invest on my films.
All right. Let's ask you about new filmmakers. There are
Right.
people who want to venture into movies now.
Right.
And one of the major issues, they'll just say, I don't have money,
Mhm.
you know. And from what you have recounted, money is almost the last thing you need.
Indeed.
You first of all need to believe in yourself,
Right.
the conceptualization,
Right.
human resources, and what have you.
Mm.
So if you are speaking now to young filmmakers who want to now have projects, take on projects,
Mhm.
and are worried about the resources, how much it's going to cost them to get into that scene, what would you tell them? That's one. And can you give us like a little bit of insight on, let's say as a filmmaker, you need an average of 10,000 naira to, I know that's very less, you need an average of 10,000 naira to shoot a 15 minutes movie and what have you. Just what would you say to someone who is just new in that scene?
Well, I think it is easier to find people to partner up with you these days than when we first started,
Okay.
because there are a lot of production houses, you know, that have equipment in abundance.
Yeah.
You know, what you just need to do is to pair yourself up with some of these production houses, and of course, you'll be able to have a leeway through telling your story. When I started Region Film Studio, I had no money, right, to pay anybody. So the idea was to get people who are creatives, who can deliver value, you know, that I don't have money to pay for, you know. So basically, I team up with a group of friends, a cinematographer, a producer, a production designer, and stuff like this, to start Region Film Studio, because I don't have the money to pay people, you know, at the end of the day. But it was on the basis of this collaboration, I'm able to do what I'm doing right now, you know. So what I would tell people who are starting off as filmmaker, everybody wants to be the lord of their story. They want to be the all in all. It is not always true. You know, sometimes you share this responsibility, make people believe in your dream. I didn't name Region Film Studio because I didn't want to, because I don't have the option of naming it Williams Ameh Films, you know. But Williams Ameh Film is me, you know. But Region Film Studio allow people to find themselves within the creative space, you know. So everybody can be the owner of Region Film Studio. It doesn't matter, in as much as we're able to do what we have set our mind to do. So telling young filmmakers is, every young filmmaker right now have another colleague who is looking for opportunity. So you have that value you can offer, that person have that value they can offer. So what you need to do is to come together, you know, because you have to pay actors. You have actors who are looking for opportunities to act, you know. So you pair up together, you know, collectively tell a story. I think it's easier now than before, because equipment are now easier to access. High-end, like FX3, Sony A7, you know, all of these equipment are high-end equipment that you can use to tell your story, and it will not cost you an arm and a leg, you know. So it's,
you know, once you've talked about collaboration, by the time you've collaborated, you also still need to get your reward, your remuneration as it is. So in that place of collaboration, at what point do you also get to talk about the monetary value involved? You know, because every actor, every filmmaker will also want to make a profit, you know, beyond the collaboration.
So at the end of the day, some films are meant to project you. You know, some films are meant to project you at the onset, not necessarily you making back your money. You know, some films are meant to be able to use it as a show reel. You know, when I started in Nasarawa, what we did was I would do a short film and cut a trailer coming soon that will never come. You know, so sometimes what you just need to do is to do things that your goal is not to make money. Because if you look towards making money first, you might end up not really making that money and you suffer for a long time. So what you need to do is, like I did, do a short film or a trailer. Even the short film, you can cut a trailer coming soon, keep people anticipating, you know. And of course, you
can come years later.
It can come years
later.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, you've built a community of people who believe in you. People who are willing to now maybe go to cinemas to watch your film if eventually you're able to make a film at the end of the day. But then you need to show people need to see progress. People need to see. I was speaking to a friend recently. It has been long I created something, you know, so I said I needed to create something, you know, not necessarily because I have enough money to make it, but I just needed to do it. So you need to stay relevant by creating something that the reward is not the money you get, but the followership, the people, the visibility at the end of the day. So basically,
talking about creation, you've worked on Scar very recently.
Yes.
You know, tell us about Scar.
Right. Scar is a story born out of a cry, you know, from so many children across the world, especially in Africa. And this cry has usually gone unheard because maybe they are ladies, they are women, you know. And most of the times you see children who are victim of vesico-vaginal fistula, which is the theme of our short film Scar. Most times they are not complicit to the factors that put them in where they are at the moment, you know. Factors like early marriage, forced marriage, obstructed labor, things like this, you know. So usually you see them, a lot of children maybe having pungent smells around them, maybe newlywed children having a lot of pungent smells, their husband pushing them away, not wanting to associate with them. You see them, most of them withdrawn and all of those things. And I look around and I said, my mother is a woman. I have sisters, you know. I'm eventually going to get married to a lady, you know. And if my mother was a broken woman, because scar, like the title says, scar, goes beyond injuring your physical body, but affecting you intellectually, psychologically, it affects your self-confidence, your self-esteem, it breaks you down, you know, to shreds at the end of the day. So if my mother was a victim of this situation, would she be confident enough to raise a confident child, to raise an ideal child? So if our society is filled with mothers who are broken, eventually we'll have a society that is filled with broken children. What do you expect from a society filled with broken children? Brokenness everywhere, you know. So this is the motivation towards, you know, making that short film.
That's interesting. I like that thought pattern. Broken people cannot create wholesome people. And yes, we have the trailer for Scar. We'll just go on and watch it and then know if that's what we're binge watching for the weekend. Stay with us.
Yana kallo na a fuska na.
Kar kamar da ni kakanka kana ji na ko magana tsakanin iya da uba ya isa.
Give us more. This one is coming through.
Yeah, of course.
this
yeah, of course.
All right.
Right.
So is it out already?
Yeah, it's out already.
Where can you get it?
So you go to the SDGs Short Film Challenge YouTube page.
Oh, okay.
It's there. Yeah.
Oh, it was actually an entry.
Yes, we won the global award for the SDG.
Oh, that's a big one.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Congratulations. So what other projects do you look at jumping on?
So right now we are currently on the pre-production phase for a very interesting project. One of the biggest projects that I'll be making yet. The title is Niger Delta Command. You know, it's an adaptation of a book written to honor the life and the legacy of Ken Saro-Wiwa. Yeah, so basically that's
you like historic things, you know.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I think that's beautiful as well.
Right.
You know, but you've done short films.
Yes.
You've done music videos.
Yes.
You've done documentaries.
Indeed.
Which one of these actually gets you more excited?
Really, I would say all of them get me excited in their own way.
Yeah.
Okay.
But mostly documentaries really does it for me because of every time I travel, get to meet people, get to interact with them, you know, get to see their culture, participate with them, get to hear them tell you their story, you know, head on, one-on-one.
Yeah.
It's exciting, get them giving you their locally brewed drinks or their food. You know, the excitement, they share excitement from seeing people looking at how you receive them, their gestures, you know, their hospitality. It's, you know, it's a lot for me. So that interaction, that fellowship is something that I cannot negotiate, you know. So yeah, documentaries.
So who do you hope to work with? What director, what producer would you hope to work with?
Oh, recently it is Elba's presence have been felt in the continent. He's mostly in Ghana, so am I.
Idris Elba?
Yes, Idris Elba, yeah. So I look forward to
I thought it was just the ladies that are raving about Idris.
No, I love Idris Elba because of the depth. Recently, me and my friend were watching Beast of No Nation again, you know, so I love the depth of how he portrays a character. You don't see him as an actor, you see him as that character.
Yeah.
So he's one person I love to not only work with, sit under, you know, interact with at the end of the day, because this cross-pollination and fertilization of idea will do a lot for me.
Are you working on it?
Yes, because I'm based in Ghana at the moment. Yeah, so it's easy for me to get through with that. So it's
Now, if your life was a movie, what would you title it?
Not actually thought about it. That's an ambush.
Don't call it scam. But think about it on the spot. What do you
Oh
think it
my
might
goodness, that's an ambush. Well, I'll call it the Regent.
be? Okay.
Yeah.
Your company name.
Yes, I'll call it the Regent.
Okay.
Reason being that the reason why I call my company Regent, you see, Regent is not the ruler.
Okay.
They are the people that are set aside to rule in the stead of the ruler. You know, see over the affairs of the country or the society in the place of the ruler. And I feel like in our community, in our world, we have a lot of people who are dying with their story in their lips. You know, and what do? I am the Regent that holds their story, keeps it from fading out, you know, keeps it from keep them from going to their grave with those stories. That's why I really go deep into documentaries, you know, seize the opportunity to tell of those stories. So, and in the course of doing it, it's an adventure entirely for me. So I'll come up myself, my story, the Regent, you know, this Regent of stories.
Before I let you go, let me put you in character, basically. Anyways.
Sure.
Just think of the most fascinating character and just switch to character and just give us a one-liner. Maybe from any of your films or any of the books you've read.
I'm a terrible actor.
You don't.
I'm a terrible actor.
Well, ask because you can be a producer and not be an actor.
Yeah, I'm a terrible actor.
That makes it even more exciting.
Yeah.
All right. So you're always behind the scene.
Yeah, so
now you're in front of the camera.
I'll tell you something, right?
This guy won't swap.
I'll tell you something, right? I actually thought I was going to be an actor.
Okay.
So when I first reached out to Toka, I was reaching out to him as an actor. I want to be an actor. I started coming to Abuja from Nasarawa to attend audition. I was a terrible actor.
Yeah.
I'll do audition. People were just like, you know. So I was like, I'm giving it my all, but it was so funny. You know? So at a point, I told myself, I was not going to act anymore. I don't want to be going to auditions to get a role. I was going to learn the art of storytelling so that I'll give myself all the rules that I want. But eventually, as I ventured into learning the art of storytelling, I quickly realized that I was not an actor, I was a storyteller. So being a storyteller do not necessarily make you an actor. It allows you to express yourself behind the cameras, and that's what I've done.
I like it when people know where you are and stay there. Because don't say because you're an actor, because that's what you see in the Nigerian movie industry sometimes. Of course, we're doing absolutely fantastic, but where, because I'm the producer of the movie, I want to take the lead role all the time, and I might not be able to interpret that role as much as someone who's trained as an actor should be. But what do you hope to see? What kind of evolvement or evolving would you love to see in the Nigerian movie industry space?
I think the Nigerian film industry is already evolving. You know, if you look at the kind of stories, so it is now story meets the right budget, story meets the right story meets the right expertise. You know, story meets the right people. So if you see the lineup of films that Nigerian filmmakers are putting out day in, day out, even zeroing down to content, short films, you know, it's amazing, it's mind-blowing, you know. So I think we're on the right step, on the right direction. So at the end of the day, more filmmakers should be able, what I hope for is to see a time where filmmakers are able to make, you know, 100% of their investment on films. Because these days, again, it's hardly the case where people make, when I say 100%, I mean profit, you know, even more, you know. So again, at the end of the day, if you're able to make more than you invest in a film, you're able to do more. So that is what we're looking out for in the Nigerian film industry. So we'll make that blockbuster, you know, record.
Thank you so much.
Quick rapid fire before we let you go. Cake or jollof?
Jollof.
Okay. Drama or comedy?
Oh wait, cake or jollof?
Yes, now.
Cake or jollof?
So that person might just want to rush the cake.
Maybe say jollof for fried rice or something. Cake or jollof?
So you go for jollof.
You go for
drama or comedy?
Drama.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of comedy.
You're not a fan of comedy?
At all.
Okay. Snack or the director's chair?
The director's chair.
All right, thank you so much, Williams Ameh, for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Of course, right now we're going to break and we'll come back. We'll continue with the conversation with a different entertainer. I will just prepare you even more for the weekend. Don't get away.